Hello, everybody, and welcome to the YouTube channel, The Big Black American Secret. My name is Daniel Jackson, and I'm going to read our mission statement first, and then I'll get into the topic of the video, which is, I'm not sure what the title is going to be, but it's the danger of calling a terrorist attack a riot. Okay? I'm going to go back in history and prove to you that we've had almost 100 terrorist attacks, American terrorist attacks. When I say American terrorist, I mean Americans causing terror on Americans in the United States. Okay, so the goal of this channel is to build an unstoppable army of knowledgeable black melanated people in America and around the world that understand, as melanated people, we have one enemy worldwide, and that enemy is the system of racism, white supremacy. Our mission through education is to replace this evil system with a system of freedom, justice, and equality, as laid out by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. We will need your help in building this knowledgeable army. You can help by subscribing to this channel, by donating to this cause through Cash App or PayPal, and by sharing the videos you watch here and any knowledge that was shared. In doing so together, we help fertilize the mentally enslaved, colonized minds of black melanated people worldwide, creating the perfect mental conditions for our children to grow up in a better, more balanced world. Okay? Now, and I'm so glad I'm able to do this video because hindsight is 20/20 vision, meaning when you can look back on things and another new information is provided, you can put a more complete puzzle together. Now, what do I mean when I say this? Well, the attack on the Capitol building is being called a riot. You know, just Trump supporters who are unhappy that their president will no longer be president. It's just simply a riot. Now, here's the danger in calling terrorist attacks riots. If you miscategorize something, you tend to take the people who are being hurt by that attack will not get justice. I'm going to just say it plain and simple like that. Because it's not so much about the Capitol building being attacked, so much as it is about the act of terrorism. Okay? Now, in this video, I'm going to point out the fact that there has been over, I counted them a little while ago. I'm gonna go back and count them again. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. During the Reconstruction era and post-Reconstruction era, I'm gonna count this, and here's what I'm looking at on the screen: Civil War, Reconstruction, post-Reconstruction era violence, and all of these are called riots or race wars. I'm gonna tell you what the importance of that is in a minute, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, and that's from between the year 1863 to 1899. Now we go down here, and these are race riots between the year 1900 and 1960. And I'm gonna count these: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay? Okay, so that's a lot, to say the least. Okay? But now you see these things are titled riots or race wars. Okay? All right. Now, what most people do not know, and I'm sure you're finding out today, matter of fact, nobody has thought about this. This is something hot off the fucking presses. Okay? This is something you probably, you ain't never heard this before, because I just connected the dots. Okay? Now, here is something that's a fact. The first plantation owners here in America, or in the colonies, were owned by Europeans. Okay? And that's no surprise. But here is the surprise. These were black Europeans. Okay? These were Europeans who looked like you and I. Okay? I'm going to go to a definition. Well, I tell you what, let me back up a little bit. I have an article pulled up here, and it's an article written in 1751 by Benjamin Franklin. He was upset that Europe wanted to send Germans here. They want to send a lot of Germans here, and he wasn't happy about it. Okay, and it's going to point out to you the fact that a good percentage of the first Europeans here in America, a good percentage of them were melanated. Okay, so let me find this article real quick, and we'll get on with the getting on. Okay, and here's the article. And this article, I'm gonna stroll up, but here's the article. It's called Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, 1751, and it's Benjamin Franklin is the author. Okay, so I'm gonna stroll down to the last two paragraphs, and I'll read this. And since detachment of England from Britain sent to America, we will have placed at home so soon supplied and increased so largely here, why should the Palatine boar be suffered to swarm into our settlement? Now, Palatine boar is a German. It's a German fellow. It's going to say that down here in a little bit. Into our settlement, and by herding together, establish their language and manners to the excursion of ours. Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize? See, they're Germans, as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion. Our complexion, right? I'm going to keep reading. Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All Africa is black or tawny. Asia, chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russian, and Swedes are generally of what we call swarthy complexion. Now I'm going to pause that for a minute. There's a couple of words we need to look up real quick. Tawny, swarthy, okay? So here's tawny. Tawny is a color. Tawny is a light brown or brownish orange, okay? It's a light brown or brownish color. Okay, so in the article part of the article we just read, Benjamin Franklin said that all Africa is black or tawny. Africa is full of black and brown people. Still today, it's full of black and brown people. Okay, Asia chiefly tawny. So Asia chiefly brown people. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. Wholly what? It's like Africa, black or tawny. Okay? Now let's look up this other word, swarthy. Swarthy. Swarthy means dark skin. If you like tall, dark, and handsome men, you find a swarthy complexion attractive. Okay? Dark skin. Okay? So we go back to the article. Complexion. Okay, so we'll just roll it back to here. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russian, Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion, dark skin, right? As are the Germans, dark skin. The Saxons only excepted. With the English, make up the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. Saxons, English. Only white people, white skinned people on the face of the earth, okay? Very small number of them. I would wish their numbers were increased. He's wishing there was more white-skinned people. And while we are as I may call it, scoring our planet by clearing America of woods, as so making this side of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus. They was cutting down trees in America and building homes and shipping some wood to Europe. So he says we're cutting down woods and we're making the globe more whiter. It's trying to say whiter, really. Okay. Where was I? Inhabitants of Mars and Venus. Why should we, in the sight of superior beings, those Asians and Martians, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red? Red is the Indians, right? We're going to get to that in a minute. Perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. Now let's get to this red right here. You see? Now, the Indians were called the Red Man. This penny is made from copper. It's identical to my color. Now I'm gonna Google the color of the 1 cent copper penny. And we'll see what comes up. Apologize about how long this is taking. My computer's a little slow. It's a little slow. Please forgive me. Okay, we'll just go here. Okay. And here's what come up. You know, what color is a copper coin? And I'm going to read this right here. And it's got some examples of pennies right here. It says, over time, the brilliant orange-red color of a freshly minted copper coin, such as a Lincoln coin, will diminish and fade to a deep chocolate brown color. Deep chocolate brown color. Okay? As this degradation of color occurs, there are varying degrees in which both red and brown colors will exist simultaneously on the surface of the coin. So Benjamin Franklin was talking about you and I. Aboriginal Americans were here already. So why increase the sons of Africa when we have so lovely and fair a chance of increasing the lovely white and red, brown? You understand what I'm saying? These are the things you find out when you can go back and research documents and you put what you know now together with the things that have tried to be hidden from us. But anyway, I'll go on. So technically what we found out from Benjamin Franklin, first of all, he's racist as fuck, you know, and he was concerned about them sending a whole bunch of German Europeans over here. Called them sons of Africa, did he not? Now, my point in saying that is this. Well, let me pull up one more definition before I get too far down the road. I just said that we are Aboriginal Americans, aka Indians. So I just want to point that out or prove that to you real quick as well. Anybody who's new to the channel, you know, you may not have had a chance to see this definition before. So I'm gonna just, you know, take this opportunity to educate you a little bit. Okay. And Christopher Columbus and every explorer before him and after him, people who did trade on this continent before it was so-called discovered by Christopher Columbus, they described the people they saw when they came here. Okay? So much so, that description ended up in a dictionary in the year 1828. Okay? And here it is. American, a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the aboriginal or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. Now, this last sentence is pointing to the fact that your identity has been stolen by white Europeans. Real important in this video, because when we talk about the riots and the race wars, that was all part of this identity theft. But we're going to take it slow. We're not going to jump too far ahead, okay? So now you understand that you, black man and woman, are the original Americans. You are aboriginals, you're indigenous Americans, i.e. Indians, okay? Not the Mongolian Indians in our history book, okay? The Mongolian Indians in our history book, that's again, it's a Mongolian breed of Asian that come across the Bering Straits about 12,000 years ago. That's what leading paleontologists say. Again, those folks are Eskimos. A little bit more proof on that is if you look at your 2020 census and you go to the section where it says American Indian, it'll have on that last part Eskimo community. Okay? When the Europeans got here and started conducting business, and they got greedy, of course, as greedy people do, they looked at the Eskimo and they said that, it's a small number of those people. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to tell everybody that those people were here first. These are nation's first peoples. And if we ever need to get rid of them, kill them off, we can do that easy to steal our identity. Or we could put them in concentration camps, reservations, right? The millions of red people or brown people walking around here by the millions, we're going to tell everybody we brought those people here from West Africa as slaves. Okay? And of course, I summed that up in a nice little bow because that's technically what happened. It didn't happen all in 1 week. I ain't saying they all came together and had a one-time big meeting. I'm just saying they worked things out to way it just came together for them, for their benefit, not for our benefit. Now, of course, everybody's been told about the all black people migrated out of Africa. In fact, we supposedly are West African slaves. Like I just told you, they lied and said that we come from West Africa. Well, I'm going to show you something real quick. The transatlantic slave trade was a cover story. It was a story concocted to further hide the identity theft. Now, this identity theft, all Europeans are involved in this identity theft. It's not just the English Europeans. It's the English, the Irish, the German. It's all white Europeans who got involved in this identity theft, okay? Now, again, of course, the transatlantic slave trade was supposedly started in 1619 with those 20 and odd Africans that came to the shore in Jamestown. Now, we've all heard the story, but you can Google search the details of that. Those people were not African. They were pirated off a Spanish ship in the Caribbean, brought to the shore of Virginia. Now, obviously, those people looked African because when they got to the land, they were the liars. They're West African slaves, right? The English, the Spanish and the Portuguese enslaved Indians in the Caribbean islands. Okay, now how do we know they weren't African, other than they were pirated off a Spanish ship? Well, the Spanish, as part of their ritual of enslaving Indians, they quickly baptized those people. They called it the Encabriamende system. They Christianized them, they baptized them. Of those 20 odd Africans, 11 of them, their names were recorded. They had Spanish names. Therefore, they were already baptized, i.e., already slaves, Spanish slaves. Okay. Again, that's a Google search. You can look that up right now. Well, after you see this video. Okay. So now I'm gonna show you the real slave trade that took place, because the transatlantic slave trade was not only told to us in reverse, it was a cover story for the real slave trade. Now, much credit is given to Dane Calloway for his discovery that the transatlantic slave trade was told to us in reverse. Okay, so that slave trade was called the International Indigenous American Slave Trade. Okay, and I'm gonna pull that up and I'll turn it around. Okay. European colonists purchased indigenous people as slaves as part of the International Indigenous American Slave Trade, which lasted from the 15th century, that's the 1400s, started with Christopher Columbus, century, until the 19th century, which is the 1800s. Okay, this slave trade started sooner, lasted longer, and we're all kept in the dark about it. You see what I'm saying? You ain't never heard of this. At least not explained in this way. That's because these are all hijacks. Okay. Now, getting back to what I was getting to. I'm gonna give you a little summary of where I'm going with this thing. Okay? Because it's real important you understand context. Some of the first Europeans who came here were given, by the European government, given land near Indian territory, or in Indian territory, because all the territory belongs to Indians, to set up plantations and farms. They make money. They was able to pay Europe back in taxes. Okay? Now, proof. I'm going to prove to you that those first Europeans were swarthy, were tawny, were brown. They were black Europeans. Just like America, Europe and all its islands were melanated black Europeans. Their identity was stolen as well. Now, you might say, okay, well, so what you saying, that this was all black on black crime? Yeah, pretty much. But the Europeans, the swarthy, brown-skinned, dark-skinned Europeans, black Europeans, didn't see themselves as black. They saw themselves as European. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, so let me get back to the tab that I was at. If I can find it real quick. Okay, I went over the writing from Benjamin Franklin in 1751, where he had his racist views, but he obviously pointed out the fact that Europeans with white skin are a very small number of people. And you listen to in the description. There's going to be two videos this time. One will be Dr. Francis Cress Welson's video, describing the system of racism, white supremacy. Very important. Please start there. Watch that video after you watch this one. The second video is going to be a video by Carol Anderson. She wrote a book about the topic of white rage. Now, what white rage is, it's when white people see black people doing good, it burns them motherfuckers up. It enrages them. And they'll either respond outwardly negative, or they'll go into stealth mode and start creating laws and shit to fuck you up behind your back. You won't even know it. And that's what this video is about. White rage caused all of those race wars and riots, race riots and race wars. But it's deeper. Those things were covers for the white European to steal the black Europeans' land here in America. Those acts were created, and it was governmental, from the top down. There were laws put in place to allow this to happen. And I won't go through all of that, because this is very important. We can no longer continue to call riots. They're terrorist attacks. Always have been. Very important. Very important. Now, here's an article that kind of points to what I'm telling you about. The continent, the European government gave land allotments to dark-skinned Europeans. So, what did Benjamin Franklin say? The Italians, Spaniards, the French, the Russians, the Swedes, the Germans, all swarthy, dark-skinned, black Europeans, right? Okay, so here's if I can find this real quick. Okay. Okay, and this is a portion of this paragraph, and I'm gonna read this last part here. It says, a declaration of the Lord Proprietaries of Maryland in 1649 encouraged Italians to migrate to colonies and authorized the governor from time to time to grant land unto any person from French, Dutch, or Italian descent upon the same terms and provisions as those British or Irish descendants. So, these black Europeans were granted land, just like the Europeans who were here, the British Europeans, was granted land as a way to create money to England. Okay? Very important. So, these original settlers, a lot, I guess the first few were white Europeans, mostly English, like Benjamin Franklin, and I'm sure along with them was probably a few darker Europeans as well, but no big deal. But then England sent over hundreds of thousands of Germans, and then later Irish, and then later Italians. And these people were given land in southern areas and in the colonies. Okay? These people set up a lot of the very first plantations. And this is where slavery began. Now think about it. If you have Indians, and the Indians look like you and I, they'll be more welcomed you to set up next to them, because we look alike. There's very, as opposed to a purely white person trying to move in, that could be a little scary. You understand? So, and then you've got a new infusion of melanated blood. So these people would be more welcomed as neighbors. I could see that happening. Do you understand what I'm saying? And documentarily speaking, that's exactly what happened. Okay? Now, the first slavery here in America was Indian slavery, but it was called indentured servitude. Well, first, no, back it up. It was European indentured servitude. Again, they shipped over hundreds of thousands of Irish, German, Italian, black people from England, Ireland, from Europe as indentured servants. Now, this was just slavery for your labor. You wasn't a full chattel slavery. You had a work contract, probably between 7 to 10 years. You work off your indenture, and then you could go enter another indenture, or you then picked up a trade and you could be your own person. You see how that works. But then the European got greedy, and they were starting not to let I'm sorry, let me back up a bit. First you had the European indentured servants, then you had Indians. You talked them into being indentured servants for 7 to 10 years. Same thing, work contract, and after that they were free to go on to another indenture or work for themselves. But the Europeans got greedy. They didn't want to let these Indians out of their work contracts. And a lot of Indians sued and won their freedom in court. You see how that works? You didn't hear about none of this shit in history class, did you? Take my class. It's $49. You get the videos to get you caught up on speed. Or you can pay the $199, which is a coaching course. So you get the same material, but we meet 4 times a day on live. 4 times a week. One day a week for 4 weeks. Live coaching. We go over the material. It'll cut your learning curve. Okay? Awesome information. Now, so black Europeans had plantations in the South. Well, in the South and in the North. But let's just focus on the South. Just for now. And you'll see why that's important in a minute. Okay? So, here's what happened. During in 1862, Lincoln signed the Homestead Act of 1862. This Homestead Act gave squatters the right to own land that they did not originally belong to them. They called it squatters' rights. If you're squatting on somebody's land for 7 years or 7 to 10 years, you're taking care of it, you're paying the taxes, then you can legally own that property after that said time. You understand what I'm saying? And those laws still exist today. Still in existence today. You understand what I'm saying? But this is 1862. Lincoln signed this act. Now, if you read about this act, it's about Western expansion. But the act covered the whole of the United States. Why is that important? It's important because during Reconstruction, and this is not what you're going to learn in the history books, where they say, well, Reconstruction is where black people wanted to vote, and white people was angry about that. No, it was a whole lot deeper than that. Because when you read the literature about this, it says disenfranchisement. A franchise is a business. It means you're making money. Plantations are businesses. They're franchises. And they pay money to the crown. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or to the government. These were franchises. Please remember that. Our government, because they have stolen our identity, they need these lies to stay in place. This stuff you hearing from me, this is like you ain't never heard this shit explained this way before. And it's all true. I'm going through documents with you right now. And I'm laying it out for you. So, again, Lincoln signed the Homestead Act of 1862. 1863, Lincoln's emancipation. I'm gonna ruin that name because it's a hard one. Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which freed enslaved people in areas in rebellion. Okay? And that's the South. Okay? 1865, 13th Amendment adopted, officially abolished slavery. I wrote that kind of small, so I'm sorry about that. 1870, Virginia law made it illegal for black and white children to attend the same schools. Okay? So now this is called Reconstruction. The government was setting things in motion to take the land from the black Europeans. Black European landowners, plantation owners. The government was setting the stage for that. Because think about it. We can't have black Europeans as slave owners who were free people and making a shitload of money, and at the same time have white supremacy. That don't wash. So how can we get rid of these people quietly? How can we mask it? And how they masked it was just what I'm telling you about. They put in, that white rage kicked in, and they started creating laws to do this. Okay? And 1873, Colfax riot happened on April 13th, 1873. I'm sorry. It's 1873, Colfax riot. The government could, after this riot, the government on the federal level could no longer prosecute racist people for murdering blacks. The federal government could no longer prosecute racist mobs or racist militias for murdering blacks. Now think about this. All of the old movies we saw, when they would say a black man raped a white woman, he'd be in jail, a mob of them would go get that black man, hang him and kill him, and then burn up his whole damn town. Nobody went to jail for it. You see what I'm saying? If the state, on the state level, if nothing was to be done, then on the federal level, damn sure nothing was to be done, because the laws were already in place to protect those people to do this. In fact, that's the whole point of this video, to point out to you that these were not sporadic acts that happened. Here's that list again. If I could find it. Yeah, okay. Here's what took place. Again, the white Europeans set in motion a way to run the black Europeans off their land and recategorize those black Europeans as just niggers and blacks. Exactly how it happened. The newspaper organs in those local towns was in cahoots with white business owners, the police force. You see, what they would do is they would create a story like some black boy looked at a white woman or raped a white woman. They would put it in the newspaper, get white people all riled up, and say, "Hey, we're gonna be killing a nigger tonight, boys," you know. And then 200 or so white people would come together in the surrounding towns and then burn down that town, run those people out of town, and now they don't they don't call that a terrorist attack, no, or a massacre. They call it a riot. When it's categorized as a riot, the insurance companies was in on this, and here's how. When it's categorized or advertised as a riot, that means both sides were responsible for the incident, which means legally the insurance company don't have to pay for life insurance policies or land damages to buildings. You see how that works? In a nutshell, between the year in Reconstruction between 1863 to 1899, they ran thousands of black people off their land. A lot of those people were black Europeans, miscategorized as black Americans. You understand? Miscategorized in history as black Americans. These people were not only landowners, but slave owners. And then, like I say, and here's another thing. The squatters' rights. A lot of those black Europeans had white sharecroppers working on that land. And those white sharecroppers were in on this cahoots. They put on them robes, but couldn't make out who they was, and they run them people off the land, and then they take care of that land. And then eventually the land passes to them after 7 to 10 years. They take care of the taxes, and they get the legal ownership to the property. You see how that works? That's what this was. Reconstruction was to run black people off of their land, and these people were black Europeans. A good percentage of them was. Run off their land by white Europeans and other business owners in those areas. And I don't know if you know this or not, but some white people in towns like Tulsa, Oklahoma, they gave loans to the neighboring white people. This is how much money our people had. They would provide loans for people. So when the riot in Tulsa, Oklahoma happened, they had a lot of people after the killing that happened. They had housed a lot of black people at, let's say, a gymnasium. And the only way you could get out of the gymnasium, you could get your freedom back, was to have a white person come and vouch for you. Guess who was coming to vouch for you? The white person who owed you money. And he said, "Man, look, I'll let you up. I'll get you up out of here, but you need to cancel this debt I owe you, man. You need to write this debt out. Just cancel it. That way the black person don't get killed, because you're either gonna get killed or you're gonna cancel his debt." And that shit happened. See what I'm saying? These are the things that have been hidden in our history books that you're gonna uncover and discover with me if you take this journey and get on this team. You feel what I'm saying? So now, between 1863 and 1899, thousands of black people killed, land was destroyed and taken from them. Because again, these weren't riots. These were terrorist attacks on black people. Terrorist attacks on black people. And this pattern of behavior continued from the 1900s all the way into the 1960s. Matter of fact, let me call out some of these race riots. We'll go with the very first one here. It says Detroit Race Riot, 1863. New York City Draft Riot, 1863. Memphis Riot, 1866. New Orleans Massacre, 1866. Pulaski Race Riot, 1868. Camilla Massacre, 1868. This word I can't pronounce it too good, but it's Opelousas Massacre, 1866. The Meridian Race War, 1877. Chakotay, or just Chakotay County Race War, 1871. The Colfax Massacre, 1873. And remember I mentioned the Colfax? After that riot, I think 2 people were tried in the local court, and it was thrown out. Then they took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court upheld the ruling of the lower court, at which point the federal government could no longer prosecute racist mobs for murdering black people. You see how they set that up smooth? Okay? The Clinton, Mississippi riot, 1875. The Hamburger Massacre, 1876. The Carroll County Courthouse Massacre, 1886. The Thibodeau Massacre, 1887. The New Orleans Dock Workers Riot, 1897, 94 to 95. Verdun, Illinois Race Riot, 1898. Wilmington Race Riot, 1898. Newburgh, New York Race Riot, 1899. A lot of riots. No, terrorist attacks. You see what I'm saying? We can no longer allow these people to categorize their evil actions as small snaps on the wrist. Not even the Capitol riot. That was a terrorist attack on that building. It was a governmental building. It was a terrorist attack. Terrorist attack. Okay, not a riot. If you categorize it as a terrorist attack, like Donald Trump put in y'all gonna find this shit funny. Last year, when he was trying to trick up the Black Lives Matter movement, yeah, he signed an executive order that if writers commit terrorism on a federal building, they can get up to 10 years imprisonment. In the books. Now, his terrorists who attacked that building, they all should be put in jail for 10 years under that law that he just created last year. You see how I'm saying? That shit, hopefully it'll backfire them, but they have to call it a terrorist attack. We can't allow them to call this a riot. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a difference. It's a difference. Okay, now I'm going to go through the race riots that started in the 1900s. I'm going to call them by name because we need to know that these things took place on our people. Because a lot of your relatives, mine definitely, on my grandmother's side, on my grandfather's side, we Blackfoot Indian, on my grandmother's side, Sioux Indian, and we also have Irish and German relatives in my family. That's what my uncle told me. These people were black Irish, black Germans. You see what I'm saying? This shit is deep, people. We all need to get on the same page here because we have been completely and utterly fucked. I need you to get completely and utterly unfucked. Join this team. Subscribe, hit the bell and hit all. Like, share this shit out. Because you just seeing this and holding it to yourself means nothing. You are a distribution center of information. Get this shit out. Get this shit out to our people. Get this shit out to our people. That's your job. That's my job. Okay? Now, let me go down this list. The Robert Charles Riot, New Orleans, and that's in 1900. New York City Race Riot, 1900. Atlanta Race Riot, 1906. Springfield, Illinois Race Riot, 1908. The Slocum Massacre, 1910. East St. Louis Race Riot, 1917. Chester, Pennsylvania Race Riot, 1917. Houston Mutiny and Race Riot, 1917. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania Race Riot. Charleston, South Carolina Race Riot. Longview Race Riot, 1919. Washington, D.C. Race Riot, 1919. Chicago Race Riot, 1919. Knoxville Race Riot, 1919. And they call this the Red Summer. They would say, well, The black soldiers came back from the war, and they didn't want to be treated like boys no more, so they wouldn't take that shit, and they got upset, and they fought back. You see how that works? I'm pretty sure they didn't want to take no shit, but it wasn't about simply what they was talking about. These were terrorist attacks to run these people off their land and property, and to miscategorize them once more again, to help further steal their identity. A lot of these people knew who the fuck they was. They knew that they were indigenous to this planet, to this landmass. Back then, they weren't called Africans. Back then, they wasn't even called black. Black was like a bad term. You know, when you were considered black, you were considered a slave. That was a no-no. Be calling me no black if I'm free. These people was free. They owned land. That's why they was hung and killed at the rates they were, because of white rage. The video will be in the description. Again, it's 2 videos. Watch Dr. Francis Cress Welson's video first, and then watch Carol Anderson's video second, which is white rage. It'll explain a lot what I'm talking about here. Okay? Now, Knoxville Race Riot, 1919. Elaine, Arkansas Riot, 1919. Tulsa, Oklahoma Race Riot, 1919, also called the Little Africa. Everybody, that has gotten a lot of publicity. The Tulsa Race Riot. Rosewood, it was a movie I saw about that, Rosewood Massacre. Harlem Race Riot. Beaumont Race Riot, 1943. The Detroit Race Riot, 1943. Columbia Race Riot, 1946. Peekskill Race Riot in 1949. Okay? A lot of so-called race riots. These were all terrorist attacks to disenfranchise black people from their land and identity. Okay? Very important. Very important. Okay? So, my people, we can no longer allow these people to categorize themselves other than what they really are. They are terrorists. They have terrorized our people since we've met them. Okay? These are racist terrorists. And they've committed an atrocity on our people, here on our land. These are foreigners. They stole your identity. Remember, American now applied to Europeans born in Americans, or Caucasians born in America. And those Europeans. Now think about this. Every person in America has something before the name American. Black American, African American, Chinese American, Jamaican American. But only white people are called Americans. They're not considered European Americans. That should tell you a little something right there. It's the slickness of this shit. These motherfuckers real slick. Real fucking slick. But we ain't putting up with that shit no more. Our eyes are wide the fuck open. You feel me? Okay. So I hope you see what I'm saying. I hope you see what I'm saying. This terrorist attack on the Capitol, what it did was it sparked my brain to look in history at other riots, therefore terrorist attacks. And then knowing what I know about our people, our true identity, the shit just came together like a fine puzzle. Our people's land was taken from them. Our people's identity was taken from them, further taken from them. You see what I'm saying? This shit happened in waves. You know? So, we can no longer allow them to continue this behavior. We have to categorize these people in the way they really are. They are racist terrorists. The ones who act like this. Not all white people are racist, so please do not misunderstand me. The ones that do, they act accordingly. Okay? So, and I hope I hit all my points on this video, because this is amazing. This information is amazing, what we've been through on this continent, our own home. But it's okay. I'm all about solutions. And the solution to this bullshit here today is These people aren't rioters. They're terrorists. And they will be labeled as such. Because think about this. All this week, Dr. King's birthday was on the 15th, I believe, celebrated yesterday on Monday. But here they is pushing it to us how peaceful Dr. King was. You know, oh, Dr. King was peaceful, but y'all murdered his ass just the same. He was murdered. He didn't just die. He wasn't just killed. He was murdered by terrorists. You see what I'm saying? And they parade him in front of us for peace. Only sick people do this. And it's only enslaved minds of black people who allow them to do this. No, people, you got to shake off your old slave mentality. You're gods and goddesses on this planet, especially on this land. This shit's yours. Get this information in you. And you start moving accordingly. Let your kids know who you are. Find out who you are first. Spend the $49. Spend the $199. It don't matter. I say start small. $49. It's less than 70 hours of easy to watch videos to get you caught up right to speed. And then you talk to your people. Like I did. I called my oldest living relatives. And boy, did I learn a lot. I can't go through it in this video. Subscribe to my channel. Watch all my videos. It ain't a whole bunch of them. You know, and they ain't all very long, but just it's pieces of information on each one of them. You know, on your downtime when you're at work, listen to them. It's important. Okay, so people, you can support the cause of this channel through Cash App and PayPal. The information will be in the description, because we need to continue to dialogue. I need to continue to get this kind of information out to you, and you get it out to people so we can help wake up everybody. And get the more people on our side of the chessboard, we can come together and make better moves. You understand what I'm saying? Make better moves. I like the sound of that. Hashtag make better moves. Feel free to steal that. All right, people. On that note, I'm going to end this video. But please subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell and hit the all. Support the channel through Cash App and PayPal. The information is in the thing. My email address will be in there as well. And if you want to take advantage of the $49 course or the $199 coaching class, please drop me an email. Let me know. I'm so eager to get you all caught up to speed. Okay, and on that note, please enjoy the rest of your day.